Welcome back to the final day and final round of the Inland Off-Road Championship for 2020 out at Kameel to wrap things up and decide all of the overall champions, with many of the categories already decided. Powering their way to second place in Class F with only two-wheel drive, TG Jens van Rensburg and SW Conradi ended their season on a high and would be keen to get going full-time in 2020. For Sways Marais and navigator Philip Skitter, eventually they ended fourth place on the race, a very highly competitive Class E championship as well, after encountering a few niggles along the way. A third place in the championship was maybe not what they'd hoped for at the start of the season, but not a bad result either way. The 17-year-old Basil Poseidonot was still writing exams on Friday, and here on Saturday he was driving a race car at speed with Rickers Hutting in the hot seat. Basil finished his first ever race, 6th place in the Class Gs, saying he will be back for more in 2021. We can't wait to see what he's got for us. It was a case of too little, just a little too late for their title defence. The Mostert brothers also encountered a lot of problems on the final day of the season, thereby ending second in the Class G Championship and giving away their coveted number 1 plate. The Mosterts, though, always going to be champions and looking to get that number 1 plate back. The worst thing you can do to a champion is make him lose. They'll fight back even harder the following season. Third place in Heat 2 of the hotly contested Class E was not too shabby for Dolph DeToy and son Daniel. Daniel thoroughly enjoyed the race, and for once he could tell his dad what to do, and Dad had to do it. Smiles all around them. With only one blemish on their near-perfect season where they scored a second place. That's not bad for a rough day. Oki and son Jandre finished off a season with yet another Class F win for their credit. Unfortunately for them, it wasn't enough to clinch the overall championship, but second overall was now in the bag. Wayne Smith and Hendrik Rutt did all they could to finish races and keep adding to their points tally the whole season. Second place in Class E today also meant cementing second place in Class E for the championship. Solid and consistent as ever in the Hilux. With more mechanical issues along the way, Tions DeToy and James O'Mahony pushed as hard as ever, but could only manage a third place this time in Class D for the day. Still though, they managed to secure second place in the Class Championship along the way, and that was a job well done. 2020 also saw them score their first Class win of an event. For the navigator turned driver, Jeff Minott and Andreas Salva finished Heat 2 in 4th place for Class G, having had some problems out there on the tough route on the final day. But they enjoyed it tremendously, and Jeff vowed to be back behind the wheel at some point in 2021. And here with our fairy tale, Johan Visser and Jerry Besson had a perfect year, the only crew in the whole championship to have won all 6 races in their class, and in so doing also claimed the overall production vehicle championship for 2020. Well done to a very deserved crew in their awesome, unstoppable Toyota Hilux. In the swan song for their Can-Am Maverick, Christo Rose and Honor Olivier took a great third place in Class G. Remember, still only running rear-wheel drive. No mean feat considering they had to tough it out the entire weekend. A never say die attitude seemed to be their motto, and it paid off in the end. We say cheers to them as they now join the ranks of production vehicles. Proving that he had the pace, Johan Besson and navigator Harry Prinsloo took second place in Class D, and that just over 3 minutes behind the class winners after 260 grueling kilometers of racing. The Penta Motor Group entry of Philip Rutter and Roelof Janse van Vuren always provides a great spectacle, this time from the air, whether it's getting the helicopter to battle to keep up on the straights or getting to the finish line with the FIA spec Nis Navara a little bit worse for wear. Case in point, as can clearly be seen here at the end of their day, which also marked the end of the season with them. I'm sure it'll buff out. The guys at Redline will sort them going forward into next year, where they will be looking for glory. Not only does a Toyota Land Cruiser have a high center of gravity, but when piloted by a no-fear racer such as Stompie Mainhardt, chances are you're going to be up on 2 wheels more than you would like. It takes a special kind of navigator and trust. In this case, Adrian Roots is indeed that special person. Winning Class D to secure their Class D title and ending up third overall in the Production Vehicle Championship brought down the curtain on an extremely successful season for the pairing. There are a few things as impressive as a 5-litre V8 power Toyota Hilux racing Bucky at full flight on a dirt road. Again, Again, our helicopter had to pull out all the stops to keep up with the flying Hilux of Bernard and Minette Johnston here on their way to a 5th place in Class T. As we said at the top of the show, we haven't seen this bucky or this pairing racing for a while now, but it seemed that heat number 1 the day before was simply a dust-off. Day number 2, they truly came back to life and showed what the T22 can do. With their main championship rivals never getting close to them, Glenn Turon and Craig Galvin knew the championship was theirs and in the bag, but still they pushed hard to eventually take 2nd place in heat number 2 for the Class Gs, and the Class G title was theirs. Confirmed, job done. They are number 1 going forward into next season. The well-experienced Jannie Visser with navigator Donnie Moret had a disjointed season, swapping machines throughout the year. Too many mechanical issues when they drove Donnie's Ford Ranger earlier in the season saw them switch back to Jannie's Hilux halfway through. The pair will be in their own buckies respectively next season as competitors. The big thundering V8 Bat Spec 4 of the Van Jaarsvelds had an awesome run. Father and son, the two Martins, didn't put a foot wrong to win both Class A and the special vehicle category in heat number 2. If they can start the 2021 season the way they finished 2020, we can definitely expect big things from them in the future. Possibly not only winning out in the special vehicles, but potentially taking it all the way to the top and winning outright to see the flag at a couple of events. In the case of Simon Murray, well, we can only hope that he does convert a few more of his track racing buddies to come and join us, as he seems to have taken to off-road racing in a big way. Crossing the finish line in Class G, taking 1st at the final time of asking, Simon is well on his way to becoming a force to be reckoned with, not only on the Inland Off-Road Championship, but also for the national competitors. Fun was had by the Horn brothers, but after the proverbial dust settled, it was clear this was a fun outing, and normal service will resume at the Nationals, with the driver and navigators taking their positions back where they should be. But as far as the Inland Off-Road Championship finale goes for 2021, we'll see them swap out once again. We can't wait to see what goes down. For a first outing after a long absence from racing, Henny de Klerk thoroughly enjoyed what went down at Kameel, and the newbie navigator Andre de Villiers also said it was awesome to be part of an event like the double day at Kameel. Henny is embarking on a race program in 2021 in preparation for another Dakar onslaught in 2022. We'll be watching his journey with great interest and following his progress. Having not raced in a while now, Evan Hutchison had to get back into the swing of things very quickly up at Kameel. Add in that the fact that he had his precious cargo next to him in the form of his 16-year-old daughter, pressure was on him not to mess up. Well, in the end, it was a happy result, as the top father and daughter pairing walked away with 2nd place in Class T at the final time of asking. What a great way to wrap up a season. Also putting in a stunning drive in only his 2nd outing, Ibn drove faultlessly to pick up 2nd place in the very fast Class FIA category, guided perfectly by Rian Kreiling in the navigator chair. Taming these 5-litre V8 monsters is not something everyone is capable of, and although it's early days still, we could expect very strong results coming in 2021 from Ibn, and 2021 is just around the corner with a very short off-season this time around. When Malcolm Cock is in a hurry, not many people can keep up. His son France kept them pointed in the right direction all weekend long, and the Ford Ranger never missed a beat. The Mustang-engined Ranger is a sight to behold at speed, and the pair took no prisoners in heat number 2, ending up victorious in Class T and scooping a great 2nd place overall to boot. And a lovely comeback of the season. Making up from their problems in heat number 1, Ernst Roberts and Henry Kerner were definitely on a mission at heat number 2, the final day of racing. And once they hit the front early on, after Chris Visser's demise due to a broken prop shaft, The pair in the Nis Navara never looked back. It was literally pedal to the metal the whole way. A fine first place then in Class FIA, and the overall first place for heat number 2 secured their FIA Class Championship title for 2020. Let's go through the results from the final day at Kameel. Confirmation of the Van Jaarsvelds hammering the nail at the top of the pile in the special vehicles for the Class A's, and the Class B's, Carleen and Morena beat out the boys once again. In the special vehicle overalls, no surprise then to see the A69 of the Van Jaarsvelds at the top, beating out the Kruger and Becker pairing, and Farie and LaRue knocked down to a number 3 spot this time around. Production vehicles Class D saw Stompie Mainhardt and Adrian Roots hammering it at the top once again. Tians Totoy and James O'Mahony having to take 3 spots, with Besson and Prinsloo up into number 2. Class E's was Visa and Besson. Production vehicle Class F, Oki and Jandre Kruger finished off their perfect season at the top of the charts, and in the Class G's, Simon Murray and Akim Bergman starting to become key players. Watch out for them next year. Production vehicle Class FIA, the Fast Boys at the top, Roberts and Kerner beating out Besson and Grayling, and in Class T, Malcolm and Franz Koch hammering the nail above Evan and Taylor Hutchison. Production vehicle overalls, no surprise to see Roberts and Kerner on top ahead of the Cox, and then Besson and Grayling beating out the Hutchinsons, Andre de Villiers alongside de Klerk rounding out at strong number 5. And this is for the championship. Class A championships after a full season of racing. Sean Kruger is the champion in Class A for the drivers, and navigation goes to Becker. For the Class B championship, the drivers championship goes to Carleen Croshaw, with the navigators championship going to Morena van Schalkwyk for the Class B's. Your champions in Class P, even though they were a no-show at the final event, the drivers champion is Tony Gavea, with the navigator champion, Mikey. And the Class D championship looks like this. Stompie Mainhardt having a great season to win it out, and Adrian Roots tags another championship to his navigation seat in the inland off-roads. The Class E championship was a nail-biter as well. Johan Vierse takes his championship for the drivers, and Jerry Besson championship for the navies. That's in the production vehicle Class E's. Climbing the ladder then in the Class F's, Oki gets it ahead of Jandre, the Krugers going 1 and 1 in their championship respectively. For the Class G's, the side-by-sides, it was an interesting one. Glenn Theron takes his first ever Drivers' Championship. Craig Galvin has been in the seat before, but not in the Class G's. He gets his seat. For the Class T's, Malcolm Koch hammers it in the Class T Championship. Things will tighten up next year, and Donnie Murray got a great run going. He actually walks away with his championship for the Class T's on navigation. Class FIA was pretty much dominated throughout 2020 by one pairing. Ernst Roberts the driver, Henry Kerner on the notes. They are your champions on drivers and navigation in FIA. And the special vehicle overalls, amazingly enough, it's a B at the top. Carleen Croshaw is your overall drivers champion, and Morena van Schalkwyk your overall navigator champion. And production vehicles, Johan Vierse in a Class E is your champion. We saw this again last year. We're going to see it one more time. Class E, it's Johan Vierse and Jerry Besson, top of the charts for production vehicles.
From Villa Africa side and Ural Trucks, we want to thank you for a beautiful season. It was a year full of events, and we're looking forward to the 2021 season. As you can see, we enjoyed it just as much as all the competitors, and thank you for a nice year. Looking forward to see you next year. Thank you.
And at the final prize giving, everyone was awarded the lost trophies as well as their championships. It's going to be an interesting season as we go forward into 2021. The calendar looking like it's going to run long and deep, so we'll be racing late into the year. And even though 2020 saw a short championship, it was still a tough championship. 2021 will be even tougher, and hopefully we get to run the entire calendar and decide a fair run. This has been the Inland Off-Road Championship for 2020, brought to you by Fila Africa in association with Ural Trucks.